Hey y'all, welcome back to another hunting ammo ballistics gel test. Today we've got Remington Corelokt Managed Recoil, the 125 grain soft point Corelokt in 30-30 Winchester. And here's your box for that Remington Corelokt Managed Recoil 125 grain soft point Corelokt 30-30 Winchester load. I'm always very curious to test managed recoil and light recoil ammunition to see how it performs. We've got deer and hog icons, so that's sort of the game that this is meant for. Let's flip it around to the back. Here is your promo info on the Corelokt line of bullets. Feel free to stop, pause, and read all that if you would like. Coming on down, we've got a little bit of promo info on the Managed Recoil line. Feel free to stop, pause, and read that as well if you would like to. And then coming down further, we have our ballistics information. Velocity is stated at 2,175 feet per second. And it does say ballistic data produced with a 24-inch barrel, which honestly, 30-30 Winchester, that's completely ridiculous. I know that there are 24-inch barreled 30-30s out there. They are extremely in the minority. Almost all 30-30s as a percentage have 20-inch barrels, and then you've got your 16-inch barreled trapper styles. So using a 24-inch barrel to test 30-30 ammunition is, in my opinion, ridiculous and ludicrous by the factory. That's just silly. So we'll see how close we get to that with the 20-inch barrel of my Marlin 336 Classic. But regardless, let's go ahead and open this stuff up and take a look at it. Got your black plastic ammo holder, and whoa, this is no joke, y'all. This was not staged. I just pulled out the first one right here. Hold on, let me focus. The bullet is loaded backwards. I did not stage this. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. The bullet is backwards. I didn't stage this. I bought this factory new. This is completely ridiculous. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. Well, we won't be shooting this one. Let's yank out another one and see what it looks like. Okay, I think that's what we're supposed to be looking for there. So just a little 125 grain Corelokt bullet. We'll see how this stuff does. Let's go ahead and take a look. Here we can see it's only this one where the bullet is loaded completely backwards. That is insane, y'all. I can't even with that. In over 100 loads tested, that's the first time I've ever seen that. And the other side all looks good. That's disturbing. Remington, get your act together. That's crazy. Anyway, we won't be shooting that one, but we'll see how the rest of them do. Let's go shoot the stuff and see how it does. And my test rifle today is my Ruger-made Marlin Model 336 Classic. It's got a 20-inch barrel, and up top I've got a Leupold VX3 HD 2.5 to 8 power scope. And coming on back, I've got to show you one of my handmade leather cartridge cuffs. This one is an antique brown color. I've got 30-30 stamped right in. Check out my website, masonleather.com. I would absolutely love to make you one. And if you're looking for a handmade super thick Latigo leather sling, I've got you covered there too. And coming around to the other side, I've got to show you my whitetail deer design. And real quick, if you're watching this video anytime around when it came out, I'm having a huge sale on my website, masonleather.com. Go check it out and get yourself something. We'll be taking 3 shots from 100 yards, firing into 10% ballistics gel that has been calibrated to meet the FBI's ballistics testing protocol. And while ballistics gel isn't an exact proxy for big game, it does provide a repeatable medium through which to test various bullets and ammo against each other. After the shots, we'll examine bullet expansion, weight retention, penetration, and velocity. My goal is to provide hunters like you and I with the most objective information possible to help us make the best choice for our particular hunting situation. The ballistics gel in this video has been sourced from Clear Ballistics. You can find a link in the description. So let's go ahead and shoot it. And here are those velocities for the Remington Corelokt 125 grain Managed Recoil load out of the 30-30. Minimum 1937, max 2149, average 2012. And we are down here at the blocks after shooting that Remington Corelokt 125 grain Managed Recoil load out of the 30-30, and we did manage to capture all 3 bullets. They're right here in the second block. There's one right there. It kind of twisted as it went in. And then we have 2 more that went quite a bit deeper. So let's just go ahead and cover penetration. This one right here is right about 17 inches. Not bad for a managed recoil load, and it looks like it expanded nicely. Coming on back to the other 2, these 2 maintained their direction of travel. They didn't twist or anything, and we've got one at 26.5 inches and the other at 27.5 inches. That is great penetration, especially considering, once again, it looks like they expanded nicely. And here's a side view. You can see those bullets in there. There is the shallower one right there. And coming around to the other side, let's take a look at those wound cavities. Not a lot to speak of, not very explosive, not surprising. It's a 30-30 Winchester and it is managed recoil. I wasn't really expecting much more than this. It looks like once the bullets go in by about the gosh, half to 3/4 inch mark, they kind of start to open up. We get a nice little wound cavity here all the way back till about the 7 to 8 inch mark, and then it tapers off with penetration. And I've moved the tape measure out of the way so we can kind of see the other wound tracks as well. There's another one right there. Oh man, I just made a mark on the freaking gel with my finger. I'm sorry about that. Now you can't see it. And then there's another one. I won't touch the gel this time, way down there. And here it is from another angle. The sun just went behind the clouds, so I hope you can see this decently. There's that wound track again. Not bad for a managed recoil 30-30. Wish it would be actually a little bit more devastating, but again, not surprising. Let's go ahead and dig these out and take a look. All right, y'all, we fired it. Let's talk about it. The Remington Corelokt 125 grain managed recoil load out of the 30-30. I always like doing these managed recoil loads because you never know what you're going to get, right? Let's go ahead and talk about this one. Weight retention wise, we saw 104, 117 and 119 grains for an average of 113 grains retained weight, and that's 91% weight retention, so excellent weight retention. Expansion wise, we saw 0.49, 0.50 and 0.61 inches, so a little bit of a range there, not too bad, for an average of 0.53 inches expanded diameter, and that works out to 1.7x expansion, which is a little less than I like to see for your lead and copper 30-30 bullets, but it's not horrible. And look at the photo of the bullets here. The expansion is pretty uniform. It's nice and round around the whole circumference of the bullet for the most part. It's pretty good looking. Now, velocity-wise, that's where this ammo just really kind of kicks the bucket. And I understand it's a lower recoil, managed recoil, lower velocity load. But even so, it came in way, way below box spec. Our high velocity was 2150. Our low was 1937, so we had a spread, and this is where it's unacceptable. Our velocity spread was 213 feet per second between the high and the low. That's ridiculous. That is just, I'll just leave it at that. For an average velocity of 2,013 feet per second versus the factory build velocity of 2175, so on average we came in 162 feet per second slower than box spec. Now it's already a slow load, even for a 30-30. For it to come in this much slower is not good. And if you go back and watch the video clips where the bullets are impacting the ballistics gel, you can tell this stuff doesn't have much juice to it at all. It's barely making the blocks move at all. Very anemic. And the estimated velocity down at 100 yards at impact is about 1,711 feet per second. Now moving on to penetration, we had quite a bit of a range here, but remember, we had a very wide range in velocity as well, so it's not totally unsurprising. Penetration wise, we saw 17 inches on the shallow end, then we had one at 26.5 and another at 27.5 inches for an average of 23.5 inches of penetration. Now, all in all, that's actually not a horrible range. In terms of, how big the range is, that is horrible. It points to inconsistency. But in terms of how deep it is, it's pretty good for your medium game size hunting. I like to see 20 inches, sometimes a little bit more than 20 inches, because that's what most of your classic, well-regarded, respected hunting loads do, is 20 to 20 plus inches. And even the shallowest one here is only 17 inches, so it's not, obnoxiously shallow. It's still penetrating as deep or deeper than most of your 243 Winchester loads. So it is what it is, penetration-wise. And then on to kinetic energy with a 125 grain bullet going on average 2,013 feet per second. We're looking at 1,125 foot-pounds at the muzzle and 812 foot-pounds down there at 100 yards, so extremely weak in the energy department, which isn't unsurprising. It's a managed recoil load, but once again, it came in so far below the spec velocity that it's, hindered even more. And a quick announcement before we get to my final thoughts: if you'd like early access to my videos weeks and even months in advance of everyone else, become a channel member. The links will be in the video description and the pinned comment. Thanks, y'all. All right, y'all, on to my final thoughts for that Remington Corelokt Managed Recoil 125 grain load out of the 30-30 Winchester. Metrics-wise, it actually didn't do that bad across the board. It had really good weight retention. Expansion was pretty good for as small as the bullets were. Sure, it was only 1.7x. I like to see 2x, 1.9, 2x out of a 30-30, but these are tiny bullets. They expanded nice and uniform all the way around, so they're going to make a little hole through whatever you hit them with. But these things were just so anemically loaded, and yeah, I know it's managed recoil, but my gosh, at least hit the spec it's supposed to. And this isn't the first time I've seen it. Almost every managed recoil load I've tested thus far across calibers and across brands has had this issue where the velocity comes in well below what is advertised. So at the end of the day, I mean, would I use this stuff to hunt? Well, I'm not someone who's recoil sensitive at all, so it's a non-issue. But let's look at it from the perspective of, say you have somebody who is, more recoil sensitive. Maybe they're a new hunter. They, just don't want to get kicked too hard. Would I pick this load for them to hunt with? In my opinion, no, it's just too weak. And sure, I mean, if you hit the deer or whatever it is in the right spot, you've got the penetration. I mean, it's going to poke a hole, but it's going to need to be a really, really good shot, which we all hope for, but it doesn't always happen. And really, the 30-30 Winchester is not particularly hard kicking anyways, so I'd be a lot more prone to try to practice somebody up on a more standard load and just get them used to that, rather than using something like this and just being hindered, in my opinion. If you or anybody you know have used this load, let us all know in the comments how it did for you. And check out my website, masonleather.com, and get yourself some leather gear handmade by me just for you. I've been handcrafting leather gear for hunters for over a decade, and I would love to make you something. And there are hundreds of reviews on my website, so you can see what real hunters have to say about their Mason leather gear. And also tons of photos showing all the customizable options, including name, initial, and caliber stamping, as well as wild game designs and more. Everything is handmade by me right here in the USA. I would love to be a part of your hunt through my leather gear. And it helps support this channel, so I can bring you more hunting ammo ballistics gel tests, and lots of other cool stuff in the future. The link will be in the video description and the pinned comment, or you can just type masonleather.com into your web browser, and click one of these cards for more hunting ammo ballistics gel tests.